Here are 3 reasons why I'm still buying Quant. Reason number 1 is because, hypothetically, I still think there's a lot of room to grow. And after all, I am in the world of cryptocurrencies to look for potential gains. And when I take a look at Quant, even though it's not a small cap, even though it's not a micro cap by any means, I still do believe that the room for growth is still there. Again, hypothetically, because if we take a look at Quant at the price of $5,000, for instance, right? That right there is around an 80x from here. Now, I think this right here is actually very impressive because sometimes people like to say that, oh yeah, if something doesn't do like a 500x minimum or like a 100x minimum, that means it's trash, it's caca. But I completely disagree because just think about this. If, for instance, in a make-believe scenario, let's say, right, I were to put $1,000 into Quant right now, and let's say it were to go to the price of $5,000, around an 80x from here. At that point, that $1,000 would hypothetically become 80 grand. Now, of course, that's all financial advice, but I'm just saying that's kind of a lot actually in the grand scheme of things. Now, some people may think that, oh yeah, when it comes to Quant, it's not going to do that because, it's impossible. But I disagree. At that point, considering current circulating supply, market cap would be around $60 billion, again, at the price of $5,000. So this is not too bad. We've seen BNB reach over $100 billion in market cap. We've seen Dogecoin reach over 80 billion. So this isn't some sort of like crazy thing. What I really like about Quant is the fact that it's not so small to the point that the risk feels like very crazy and intense. But then at the same time, it's not too massive where the room for growth is complete caca. Because if you take a look at BNB, Solana, Ethereum, Bitcoin, they can't do, let's say, over a 20x from where they are as of right now during this bull run. I'm not saying in the long term or something like that, but then exclusively during this bull run, they just can't do that, in my opinion. Again, that's just my thought though, but still, why would I focus on something like that if there is something like Quant? You know what I mean? I get it. People like to say, oh yeah, Bitcoin needs to be one of your foundational pieces in the portfolio. Nah, I disagree. When I take a look at Quant, I just think it's a much better pick for me. Maximum supply is way lower, by the way, when compared to Bitcoin. Sometimes people are like, whoa, is that a joke? But that's actually true because you take a look at, for instance, maximum supply of Quant, depending on the site or exchange, it's either around 14.6, around 14.8 million. As we all know, Bitcoin is 21 million. Now, granted, is like Quant the rarest supply out there in terms of projects? No, I mean, there's other projects out there that have way less. But I'm just saying, when people like to say that, oh, when it comes to Bitcoin, it's so rare, Quant is actually more rare. Now, some people may think that, oh, what's the benefit of something being rare if it's caca? Well, Quant isn't caca. And this actually brings me to my second point as to why I'm still buying Quant. And that is because I think that the Quant network is absolutely fantastic. I mean, you got to think about this, right? The Quant network, there's something called the Overledger OS when it comes to that. And this right here is revolutionizing the way people take a look at building applications, at least in my opinion, because traditionally, right, people have to be stuck building an application on only just one blockchain, which is okay in some cases because let's say someone believes in a ecosystem or something like that. Okay, they could do that. But in a lot of cases, sometimes it's just not that great because, for instance, if people want to build an application on just only one blockchain, right, that blockchain could excel in some aspects, but then in other aspects, it could be kind of caca. It's like, for instance, as well, let's say someone, only buys clothes from one store, they're not going to be able to make everything good, right? Like, for instance, some stores sell good jeans, others don't, right? Others specialize in like t-shirts or polos. So, of course, there needs to be a way to combine that. You know what I mean? The way I take a look at the Overledger OS is that it's combining the best of both worlds in a sense because it's allowing people to build applications on top of multiple blockchains. And these are called multi-chain applications, which is absolutely fantastic. That is like, for instance, using like a, polo from like Hermes or something like that, but then using jeans from like Louis Vuitton. Even though I don't like buying those type of stuff, this is just an example. You know what I mean, right? It's like combining, mixing and matching. So for instance, through the Overledger OS, an application can be built that takes advantage of Bitcoin, but at the same time also take advantage of the Stellar blockchain. So isn't that amazing? Bitcoin is known for its security. Even though, personally for me, I wouldn't acquire Bitcoin as an investment, I do have to agree that its security is rock solid because proof of work is known for amazing security. So that's amazing. Now, if you take a look at the Stellar blockchain, arguably, I would say it's not as secure. A lot of people would say, I'm not saying that it's not secure, I'm not saying that. But again, it may not be known for that. So what is an advantage that the Stellar blockchain has? It's its amazing speed. So imagine this, right? Building an application that takes advantage of amazing security, but amazing speed. That's kind of like a cheat code right there. That's like playing like, The Sims, the game, and then you're using like the motherlode code to get a bunch of like simoleons or whatever they call it. I haven't played that in ages, but still, and then you can build like a really cool house or whatever like that. It's kind of like that, you know what I mean? It's almost a little bit unfair. That's like kind of making an NBA player that has the mentality of like Kobe Bryant, but then the playing abilities of like a Michael Jordan or LeBron James. Yeah, that's a little bit unfair right there. I mean, imagine if like we could go inside like a laboratory or like a lab or something and create like an amazing like athlete or whatever. But yeah, you know what I mean, right? It's just kind of like, wow, you know what I mean? It's kind of like putting a Kobe Bryant type of mindset on Cam Newton, the quarterback. That would maybe be like the greatest quarterback of all time. You know what I mean? So that's kind of like, the way I view it. So when it comes to the Quant network, it's very amazing. Again, the Overledger OS, I think it's changing the game as we see it in terms of, building blockchains. But even besides that, people like to say that Quant is a one-trick pony, all this type of stuff. Well, that's not true. It's also focused on NFTs. They even have their own NFT standard called QRC 721. You take a look at also on top of that, Quant has great exposure, listed in a bunch of major exchanges, and this is key right here, even though it may seem corny because people are like, oh, who cares? It's not a meme coin. But it's super necessary in my opinion. Hashtag Jorge Masvidal, if you know, you know, because you take a look at, for instance, why was Shiba Inu and Dogecoin so popular? They were listed in so many major exchanges. This is key, in my opinion. I get it. Quant is focused on the enterprise market in a sense, right? They're focused on partnering up with these giants. They're focused on beyond hype or gaining fans. But it's necessary, again, during a fully fledged bull run. So I think this is great when it comes to Quant. It's not like this hidden underground thing that's very difficult to access. No, that's not the case whatsoever. It's actually very fantastic. So anyway, take a look at it. It pretty much ticks all the boxes. Not to mention, Quant is even partners with Oracle, the world's largest data management company. Now, allegedly, of course. But still, this is very impressive. So Quant, it's a no-brainer pick for me. And the third and final reason why I'm still buying Quant is because, as the old saying goes, a high tide raises all ships. I think this bull run could be so fantastic. We're already seeing Bitcoin do absolutely fantastic, but I think better days are ahead. Because you take a look at the Bitcoin ETF, the Ethereum ETF, the number of institutional investors, the amount of enterprise adoption, this bull run could be amazing. But it's just a waiting game at this point. It's a little bit boring, I get it. It's kind of like watching paint dry or something like that, but it is what it is. It's part of the game, waiting. So what am I going to do in the meantime anyways? Because I'm going to be waiting regardless, right? Either my cash is in a bank account or either it's in Quant. I'm going to have to wait again, for the rest of 2025, let's say, right? So instead of waiting for it in my bank account where it's just being eaten up by inflation, I'd much rather just put in Quant. I get it. Quant hasn't performed the best, and people like to say, oh yeah, what happens if the price of Quant goes down? All this type of stuff. Well, I'll just hold, because as long as I don't sell, theoretically, it's an unrealized loss. So that's why when it comes to Quant, I'm staying consistent. I'm still dollar cost averaging, because I think around 6 months to a year from right now, things could be very different. Especially you combine that with the fact that there's currently over 500 million crypto owners, according to Crypto.com research. I think this bull run could be so fantastic. But again, it's just a waiting game because, that's basically it. I'm not going to day trade. I'm not going to use leverage. I'm not going to swing trade. Again, I'm going to acquire, hold, and I just wait, because I do believe in the future of Quant. And at the price of $5,000 during this bull run, that right there wouldn't surprise me whatsoever. I think Quant is very special, and that's why I'm still buying Quant. And make sure to subscribe if you gain value from this video. I'd greatly appreciate it. It's Willie the Captain, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. I'm a peace. Bye.